What's up everyone, Soul here with another Sword of Convallaria video. Today we will be taking a look at bows. I will be putting them in a tier list and giving you a little bit of a guide over what each one can do and how they can impact your gameplay with the various characters that you have available. With that said, please bear in mind, this is my opinion and it is definitely up for debate and discussion as it is not fact. It is just how I see it. With that said, I want you to understand I'm going to break it down by 3 criteria, and that's going to be accessibility, viability, and utility. I also want to give a big shout. Thank you for all the support. We have now reached over 300 subscribers. Really huge. Something I never really thought would be possible. With that all said and done, let's get right into the video. So first up on the chopping block is going to be the Cornucopia Longbow. And so this is a legendary item that at 5 stars at the start of the turn, if the character is healthy, there's an 80% chance to recover 2 energy. If the character is dying, there is an 80% chance to recover 30% HP with a 2-turn cooldown. This is just like all the other Cornucopia items in that it's not easy to get. You have to spend real money in order to access this. It is paid content, and it's also locked by a monthly pass. And so to 5-star this is not easy. It takes a lot of time. It's very difficult to get. And then on top of that, there's only a chance you're going to get those benefits, and it requires you to be healthy or dying. If you're injured and in between, you're not going to get anything. That makes this item powerful but niche. And because of that niche, I'm going to put it at tier 1. Next up is going to be the hunting bow. And so this is an epic item that at 5 stars, after dealing damage, there's a 50% chance to inflict move down 1 to the target for 1 turn. Now, this item is not incredibly strong, and only at a 50% chance of proccing this ability, it really doesn't feel very powerful or very great to use. And so I wouldn't recommend investing in this item unless you just absolutely need it for those really tough battles where you're really trying to limit your opponent's movement and trying to zone and control them. Otherwise, I really can't suggest this item. It's incredibly niche in order for it to even really be called up and be used. So with that said, I would rank this item tier 4. Next up is going to be the Werin Combat Bow, and so this is a legendary item that at 5 stars has a flat increase to your physical attack of 5%. It also deals 20% more damage when it's not the character's turn. So this bow is easily a best in slot if you're trying to deal damage on those alert units like those fake owls and so on and so forth. If you really want them to have high alert damage, or even Ida, if that assisting attack, you want her to have really good high damage. Super duper phenomenal bow for that reason, because they're going to come through and hit hard when it's not their turn. It's the only bow that does that, and so it's very powerful for that reason, and that flat physical attack also is really good and strong. It's also important to acknowledge that it doesn't require a lot of investment in order to do its job. Even at 1 star, it's still covering those bases and doing what it needs to do to give you that increased damage and so on and so forth. And so for that reason, I'm going to rank this bow tier 0.5. Next up, we're going to talk about the Longbow of Martyrs. And so this is a legendary item that at 5 stars has a flat increase to your physical attack of 10%. After a single target active attack deals damage with this bow, it inflicts Longbow of Martyrs for 1 turn on the target. That is a debuff that increases the damage taken by 10%. This is a phenomenal item. It does the same thing at 1 star as it does at 5 stars, so this doesn't require a tremendous amount of investment. You're just not getting as much physical attack, and that's fine. This is arguably a best in slot for your supports that are helping out, like Homa, and she's supporting August, but it's phenomenal on any unit that needs to just make sure there's extra damage being done on a target. Really powerful item overall, and I can't say enough good things about it. For that reason, I'm going to place it as tier 0. Next up, we're going to talk about the Melee Mega Crossbow. And so this is a legendary item that at 5 stars reduces your minimum range by 1, so that means you can shoot targets that are immediately adjacent to the character. It increases your damage by 32%, and for each 1 additional tile away from the target, Distance for adjacent tiles count as 0, meaning units right next to you, adjacent to your character, count as 0. Damage dealt decreases by 5% up to a total of 20%. And so the further away the target is, the less damage this bow is doing. Meaning that if you're hitting somebody at max range, you're basically going to do only 12% bonus damage with this weapon. And that's fine. That's still a really decent buff. However, at 1 star, your basic attack damage increase is 16%, and your damage reduction at max range is 32%. So you're actually hurting on damage. You're in the negative, and that's a big deal. It requires a heavy investment. However, if you have that investment and you're going to also get your new units up there next to those guys to do big damage, that damage buff is massive. This is a really good item for Homa that wants to do a lot of damage and doesn't mind getting in and getting dirty. However, most archers are fairly flimsy, and it's not necessarily in their best interest to get up close and personal. Of course, there's some, there's some discrepancies there, and there's some different, characters that can do that. Regardless of all that, we can debate it down in the comment section. I'd love to hear your feedback. I would rank this item tier 0.5. Next up, we're going to talk about Meteor Line. This is a legendary item that at 5 stars increases your physical attack by a flat 5%, and then after dealing damage with a single target attack, it inflicts 2 random level 1 debuffs. I cannot say enough good things about this bow. There's a huge bias here for me. My account's blessed. I have 2 5-star Meteor Lines. However, I love this thing. It is phenomenal. I put it on Ida, I put it on Fakao, and they put in work, in my opinion. Fakao with his basic attack with a double, and it's a double debuffs, and then of course Ida with those assisting attacks, just constantly proccing, constantly debuffing. It's unfortunate it's a level 1 debuff. That's the only gripe I can honestly make. Regardless of that, to constantly put out those debuffs is incredibly strong on any and all single target attacks. Now it does need a little bit of investment. You got to get to at least 3 star in order for it to proc those 2 random level 1 debuffs, because at 1 star it's only 1, and I don't think it's really worth it at that point. However, it's incredibly powerful past that, and like I said, I'm blessed. I have quite a few of them, and maybe that's just pure luck. Either way, for me, I would rank this tier 0. Next up, we're going to talk about the Steel Crossbow. This is an epic item that at 5 stars, attacks ignore 25% of the target's defense. I've used this item. When you read it, it's like, holy guacamole. 25% of their defense just outright ignored. Seems kind of bonkers. However, it didn't feel strong at any given point. In fact, this is tested by another YouTuber, Young Sack. I'll put the link down in the description. In his video, he clearly shows that it does not do a great job. And so, when I used it, I felt the exact same way. This thing is a villain of items. It does not seem to do what it says it does. And so, with that said, I can't suggest anyone get it. I can't advise anyone to invest in it. Save your resources. Avoid this weapon. It is not the real McCoy. And for that reason, I'm going to rank it tier 5. Next up, we're going to talk about the Werin Longbow. And so this is an epic item, and at 5 stars, before attacking a single target, if the distance of the target is 4 tiles or more away, the crit increases by 25%. That is a huge crit bonus. It is not hard to get this item 5 star, and so it's very much attainable, and has a lot of utility and purpose for that reason. It's a super solid choice if you want to do a crit build, or you just want to help ensure that there's good crit damage coming in. Now, what abilities reach that far? Most basic attacks only reach out to 3, unless there's a trait or something else affecting those attacks. However, otherwise, there are certain skills that do have up to 4 range. There's quite a few of them amongst the archers, and this will really help proc those crit rates. It's pretty decent for that reason, especially with being able to max out 5 stars easily. However, this will probably be replaced further down the line once you get further in game and you're able to get multiple stars on those better bows. And for that reason, I think it has decent utility. I would place it as tier 3. Next up, we're going to talk about the Star Raid Crossbow. This is a legendary item. At 5 stars, it increases your crit rate by a flat 15% if a single target attack deals crit damage, there is a 100% chance to additionally deal 20% of the character's physical attack as piercing damage. That seems really phenomenal and powerful. However, it does require a heavy investment because at 1 star, your crit rate is only increased by 6%, and there's only a 50% chance to deal that 20% piercing damage. But as you go up, that percentage increases by a fair amount, and then at 5 stars it jumps up to 100%, which is what you really want at that point if you're going to get the full effect of this. Because it requires a heavy investment, that really hurts this item, this weapon. However, you can't ignore what this weapon can do as far as shredding and doing really good damage, especially with that crit rate. I do think this is the best in slot for like Ballista, and it definitely can do a job on other characters. But because of that heavy investment, it really hurts the rating of this item, and so I'm going to place it at tier 1. So the final bow to discuss on this list is going to be the Whale Hunter. And so this is a legendary item, and at 5 stars, after dealing damage with a single target active attack, it gains a 100% chance to inflict infection on the target, which can be triggered up to 1 time per round. The character deals 20% more damage to enemies with infection. That is phenomenal. It requires a heavy investment though, because at 1 star, it's only a 50% chance to inflict that infection. Now there are quite a few skills and abilities on these bow users that do inflict infection, and so it would get that bonus 20% even at 1 star. However, to not be able to inflict infection each time is a big deal. And the most crippling part about this is even at 5 stars, you can only inflict infection 1 time per round. That's a huge deal. Infection can be stacked multiple times. It's a very broken debuff. It can do a lot of really good things for you. I've destroyed stages with multiple stacks of infections on my enemies. So for this to not be able to do that really gimps its ability to shine, and that is unfortunate. Not only that, it requires a heavy investment just to get that 100% proc on the infection anyways. That really hurts the rating of this bow overall, and for that reason I'm going to have to say that it is going to be ranked tier 2. And so that's my tier list and my guide on these bows. There are 2 rare bows. I wouldn't suggest investing in them or leveling them up. They're not tremendous. If you have to use them in order to get through some levels and to get a little bit of an advantage, there's nothing wrong with that. However, the second you can replace them, you should. Now with this said, I can't stress enough, these tier 0 bows are phenomenal in my opinion. Some people might think I have a huge bias when it comes to Meteor Line. However, I do think that the Longbow of the Martyrs is going to be irrefutable. And so yeah, get down in the comments, let me know what you think, let's talk about it, tell me what you think about this list. Is it going to help you? If it doesn't help you, if you disagree, I want all of it. Once again, I've said it earlier and I'm going to say it again, thank you so much for all the continued support. We've now hit over 300 subs. I'm super stoked and excited. I put a lot of effort into these videos, and so to see that feedback and to get those positivity from everyone, it really means a lot to me. I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm really happy to be able to impact this game along with other people because I dearly enjoy playing it. So with that all said and everything been covered, thank you again for your time and your energy. Thank you for looking at this video and giving it a chance. I really appreciate you, and I wish you the best in your Sword of Convallaria gameplay. Take it easy. I'll catch you later. Bye.